Schizoid type is a person who experiences a deep detachment from the surrounding world. He lives in his own inner space where his thoughts, fantasies, and intellectual constructions prevail. Such a person can be extremely talented in the fields of science, art, or philosophy, but at the same time experiences significant difficulties in interpersonal relationships. A schizoid personality often appears to others as cold, indifferent, or even arrogant, but in reality this is due to an inability to easily enter into emotional contact. Defense mechanisms. The schizoid prefers isolation. He minimizes contact with others if they cause him discomfort. Another important mechanism is withdrawal into fantasies. He may live in a world of his own thoughts and ideas, not noticing reality. A vivid literary example is Sherlock Holmes. He is not interested in social connections, but possesses an outstanding intellect. Another example is Franz Kafka, whose works are filled with a sense of isolation and alienation. The psychopathic, antisocial type acts without regard for moral norms and the feelings of others. Such people are manipulative, cruel, often lie, and know how to appear charming. In childhood, psychopaths often show cruelty to animals, do not feel guilt, and may enjoy power over others. A man with an antisocial type can deceive people, steal from them, or even commit violence without remorse. He does not feel repentance, and if he is caught, he will not admit guilt, but will rather blame others. Defense mechanisms. Denial of guilt. A psychopath never feels guilty. Rationalization. Explaining one's actions with cold logic. Examples. Hannibal Lecter. Calculating, cruel, but intelligent. Patrick Bateman. A charismatic but emotionless killer. The narcissistic type. A narcissistic personality is convinced of their own exceptionalism, but deep inside fears being insignificant. Such a person strives for admiration, cannot tolerate criticism, and may devalue others. A narcissist may seem charismatic and self-confident, but their self-esteem is unstable. It depends on the opinions of others. If they are praised, they feel on top of the world, but even slight criticism can cause anger or resentment. Defense mechanisms, devaluation, reducing the significance of other people's achievements. Projection. The narcissist attributes their own shortcomings to others. The obsessive-compulsive type. This person is prone to perfectionism, rigidity of thinking, and a fear of making mistakes. He spends a huge amount of energy controlling his thoughts, actions, and the surrounding reality. He may check his work several times, stay late at work because everything must be perfect. If such a person is going on a trip, he will make a detailed list of things, check the weather forecast, and prepare routes in advance. Inside him, there is a struggle between the desire to relax and the fear that in that case something will go wrong. The main defense mechanisms are rationalization. He explains his anxiety with logical arguments. Isolation of affect. Emotions are separated from events. Hermione Granger from Harry Potter is an example of a moderate, obsessive-compulsive type. She worries about grades, constantly strives to control everything, and is afraid of failure. The masochistic type is characterized by a desire to care for others even at the expense of oneself. Such people often choose professions related to helping. Medical workers, volunteers, social workers. They may remain in difficult, toxic relationships because they unconsciously seek situations in which they can suffer. The main defense mechanisms are identification with the aggressor. A person accepts suffering as the norm and suppression of their own desires. They feel shame if they want something for themselves. A typical example can be Sonia Marmeladova from Crime and Punishment. She endures humiliation, sacrificing herself for the sake of her family. The hysterical type craves attention and recognition. Emotions are intense but superficial, and behavior is demonstrative. From childhood, such people get used to the fact that others should notice them and admire them. This person is prone to dramatize events, manipulate the emotions of others, and strive for showy behavior. He can be easily recognized by a bright style of dress, active gestures, and expressive speech. How does this manifest? A young person with a hysterical character structure will loudly tell stories in a group about his incredible adventures, exaggerating and embellishing facts just to exhibit admiration. Defense mechanisms. Regression, a return to childish ways of behavior. For example, capriciousness, denial, ignoring uncomfortable facts. Examples: Marilyn Monroe, talented but vulnerable, dependent on attention. The depressive type is prone to feelings of guilt, self-analysis, and a constant expectation of loss. From an early age, he learns that the world is a place where happiness is fragile and unstable, and that love can easily disappear. He always has a sense that he is not good enough, that he somehow bothers others or disappoints them. Such people often strive to care for others, but at the same time feel emotionally exhausted themselves. The depressive personality is also characterized by high empathy. It is sensitive to the experiences of others and can subtly perceive their moods. However, its problem is that it fixates too much on its own failures and constantly doubts itself. The main defense mechanism is introjection. A person unconsciously takes on the blame for everything happening around them. For example, if a friend is in a bad mood, a depressive personality might think, "I probably said something wrong." Another mechanism is suppression of aggression. Depressive people rarely express their negative emotions because they are afraid of losing the love of others. The paranoid type builds his life around the idea that the world is full of threats and hidden motives. Such a person is suspicious, easily sees conspiracies where there are none, and always expects a catch. He is characterized by extreme distrust and a conviction in his own rightness. From an early age, paranoid individuals learn not to trust others. Possibly their childhood was associated with deception or betrayal, which led to the formation of exaggerated vigilance. They have difficulty accepting criticism, often see it as a personal attack, and may take revenge for real or imagined offenses. Defense mechanisms: projection. One's own negative feelings are attributed to others. For example, if a paranoid personality experiences hostility, they will be convinced that others hate them. Intellectualization. Everything is explained logically, but without emotional understanding. The manic type. This person is an inexhaustible source of energy, ideas, and enthusiasm. He is always in motion, constantly talking, making grand plans, and infecting others with his optimism. It seems that he has an endless supply of strength and confidence. From childhood, such people stand out for their activity, talkativeness, and love of adventures. They are easily carried away, but just as easily abandon what they have started. They are bored living by a schedule. They strive for novelty and often take risks. A manic person can, in one evening, come up with a business idea, start implementing it, persuade friends to invest, and a week later forget about it and switch to something new. His speech is rapid. His thoughts jump. He constantly experiences euphoria and does not notice when he crosses the boundaries of what is acceptable. Such a person may suddenly go on a trip, quit a job without a plan, or start a large project without even thinking through the details. Defense mechanisms. Denial. The person does not realize the danger of his actions. Reaction formation. Suppression of anxiety through excessive activity. In real life, people rarely correspond to any one psychotype in its pure form. Rather, it is a combination of different traits that manifest depending on the situation, upbringing, life experience, and even the current mood. For example, a person may combine narcissistic ambitions with an obsessive tendency toward order, or simultaneously have schizoid detachment and paranoid suspiciousness. It is important not only to understand your psychotype, but also to realize how it affects your life, work, and relationships. Some traits can be softened by developing emotional awareness, flexibility, and adaptability.